All right, ladies and gents, welcome back to another video for the BROTHAMAN channel. Today's discussion is going to be how does your birth order in your family affect how you behave in your adulthood? I feel like this is a really good topic to discuss. We do have kind of a category of the oldest to the middle and then the youngest within our little group here. And so we're going to kind of just break it down and give some of the views from our perspective and kind of what we've encountered while growing up. Starting with me, youngest, it feels like being on the younger side of things, I have a lot more time to essentially grow. There's a lot more time I feel like I have in comparison to my older siblings. There's clearly a lot of things that I've seen them endure or go through. Throughout that time, it seems like it's helped me to adapt and learn along the way. Essentially, I count them as guinea pigs because I get to learn and adapt to everything they've gone through. So it does seem like that actually is kind of a benefit in my favor. Just like with, trials and tribulations, you're able to learn from their mistakes. They offer a lot of wisdom in that same aspect. Um, but also eventually, going into adulthood from kid and youth, clearly there was a lot of things and obstacles that they went through in which they needed guidance. But being younger, it's kind of hard to offer, tips and advice on stuff like that whenever you don't necessarily have the experience that they have at that particular time. Although sometimes it does seem like you can still offer wisdom just depending on your perspective in comparison, younger and older, you can always see things differently depending where you are in experience and how wise you typically are. Um, and one of the things I did like, of course, with being a younger and then also going into my adulthood now, a lot of the things that they were, sharing the good news of, and also the wisdom that they were breaking down for me. It seems like I'm starting to see that now, while being, an adult, the father, married, and everything like that. So it seems like a lot of that wisdom that they gave me, I've been able to carry into my adulthood life now, especially even with my, parents and everything like that. So it does seem like the order in which your birth order, it does seem like it does play a huge role with how you interact with the world, how you learn certain things in life. It seems like you have a bit more time, so to speak. But that's just like with everything, it's kind of based on your perspective, how you see things. I'll go ahead and pass up the floor for the next one here. We can reference the middle. How do you feel your birth order being in the middle of the entire family? How do you feel that birth order affected you for adulthood and kind of what did you learn? What experiences did you encounter and how did it affect you overall?
So did you ever see that TikTok of like I'm the oldest child, I'm the middle child, I'm the youngest child?
Oh yeah, and they skip right over the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
that's funny. I'm just kidding. No, so I would say I would say um how birth order has affected me in my adulthood as a middle child. I would say that similar to you being a younger child, you're able to watch your older siblings.
Mhm,
Um, so you're able to watch them and take advice from them, whatnot, and
mhm,
then you're able to either replicate the decisions that they've made,
mhm,
or make some adjustments, and then in return, your younger siblings are going to do the same thing that you did.
mhm.
So you're pretty much just like right in the middle to model and be a role model,
That's good.
you know?
Mhm,
Yeah. And then also being a middle child, I would say, or being like in the middle as a birth order, I
mhm,
would say, I would say like each sibling has an expectation on them.
mhm.
The older sibling might have a higher expectation than the younger sibling, or vice versa. But I would say being in the middle, you kind of have a bit of both.
Mhm. That's
Um,
true.
so yeah, so you learn how to balance expectations, or set expectations on yourself. So you see the older sibling modeling modeling different characteristics where they have a lot of responsibility and whatnot. So in
Mhm.
turn, you might model that and try to take on that mindset and have higher expectations of yourself.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. That's a lot of good insight. I feel like I can resonate with that a lot, really, just with the being a role model while also being, you're modeling after the peers above you, and you're learning a lot of the stuff that they kind of went through and experienced, and then you're also reflecting that, and then you're also dishing it right back off to your younger siblings. So that makes more sense. Let's look at it from our older siblings' perspective as well. Just, go ahead and share some insight. What do you feel? What kind of experiences have you encountered, and kind of what's your perspective on that as well?
Yeah, so being the oldest, I would say has certainly been a privilege and an honor.
Mhm,
There have been difficult times, just obviously because you are the oldest, there are expectations that are set,
mhm,
And so I would say kind of I guess the obstacles and struggles that I had even in that was just, trying to make sure that I showed up
mhm.
for just like myself, but also my siblings, so on and so forth. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, I would totally say that, like I said earlier, it has been an honor.
Wait a minute, I'm gonna let you
Um,
finish. I'm gonna let you
oh,
finish.
okay.
On
Well,
my
I'm
I'm
gonna let you.
confused.
on my Kanye.
I'm gonna let you finish.
I'm confused. What does that mean?
That's that Kanye way.
I'm interrupting you, but
Okay,
you being the oldest, do you find yourself like trying to lead people outside of your family?
that's a
Like, do
good
you find
question.
yourself in the everyday world just like taking authority and leading people
Ye-
Mm,
what you since
That's a
that's
good
your birth order?
question.
mhm,
Yeah, like in a sense, it's almost like a call that's been placed that I didn't ask for. It's
mhm,
like, well, okay, let me dissect that a little bit. So obviously, I made it into the world first before all of y'all, right? Like, okay,
right.
and so with that being said, like, there's some leadership there that
Mhm,
there's like a badge. There's a badge there that I get to put on, right? Well,
mhm,
that same leadership that I've tried to be before you all, yes, I do end up using that when I'm in the workplace, when I'm, coaching, when I'm in church, when I'm dealing with people that are just kind of outside. Like, I find myself taking charge when I'm in settings where it's like nobody's speaking up. Okay, well, let me go ahead and speak up, right? It's
mhm,
like, oh, it's on you to do, right?
mhm.
Um, but yeah, to answer your question, Kendra, yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure, for sure.
That's good. And
And
I guess,
Bryson,
oh, go ahead.
do you find yourself waiting for other people to take the lead? I mean, you are second to youngest actually, so you're not really the baby.
Right.
So you might
Um,
have a bit of yeah, go ahead.
yeah, no, that's
I mean,
good.
you don't
And
strike me as that person, but just wondering
right. And
based off of your birth order.
honestly, I used to feel like that. Like I used to feel like, oh, I just wait for someone else to step up. But then when push comes to shove and someone doesn't step up, it's like, oh snap, I'm in that position. I guess I'll go ahead and do it. So it's almost become kind of second nature, it seems like. Um, that is one thing that, within the birth order, I think I've seen enough and experienced enough to where it feels like all my peers and siblings above me, they've already experienced something similar. So it makes it easier for me to step out on certain things that obviously I'm not comfortable with, if that makes more sense. So a lot of times I do find myself in those tough situations to where I know, given my birth order, I feel like, okay, typically I would not, step first, or I wouldn't do this action first, whatever that may be. But now it's become almost second nature just to always do it. And I guess it does play, some part in your birth order. With me, like you said, being second to last, it feels like that actually helps because I've seen enough above me, but also I'm still a role model for my younger sibling as well. So I definitely think that plays a big role in it.
Same here actually. I feel like I'm a bit passive
Mhm,
with a lot of things. So it's like if someone, especially in school, like if someone else wanted to, be the one that's outspoken and take charge, whatever, then sure, go for it. But
Mhm.
if no one's doing it, then I'm like, okay, fine, I can do it, you know?
And then you do a great job of it. Yeah. So it's almost
Yeah,
like you surprise yourself like majority of the times.
yeah.
That's good.
One thing that I would like to highlight, um, I think you were kind of mentioning like the guinea pig, right? With the
Mhm.
oldest kind of being guinea pigs or older ones being guinea pigs.
Mhm.
One thing I've actually enjoyed about that is though maybe y'all have gotten to see some of my struggles, my difficulties, if you do face them, it's cool to see that okay, yeah, you face them, but I know how to encourage you through it, right?
That's
So
good.
if you are experiencing some sort of season where things are just like, oh, this is crazy, yada yada yada,
Mhm.
because I have experienced it, I can encourage, and that is one thing that I absolutely love about being older.
Mhm.
There was a time where I wished like I had an older sibling,
Mhm.
just to kind of have someone to bounce ideas and certain things off of.
Mhm.
But what I failed to realize in that time, I know you mentioned because you're younger, sometimes you may not know if your advice, well, you didn't really say your advice is valid,
Right,
or
right.
but just, do I speak up? Can I speak to my older sibling? I came to find out that like I should have been doing that sooner with you all,
Mhm.
right? I immediately think of David and Goliath. Like David was a,
Mhm.
a child, right? But yet he's fighting adult issues, but
Mhm.
again, he's still a child, right? So there's wisdom that lies in the mouths of babes too,
That's
So
good. Mhm.
yeah, like I wish I would have done that sooner, but that then ties into relationship, and
Mhm.
I like getting to learn you all as adults, because who we were
Mhm.
as children,
Mhm.
that relationship was childlike, like
Right.
it's different as we grow older and so on and so forth. So yeah, I've enjoyed it. I
That's
I, I
good.
will say I've enjoyed being the oldest by far.
Yeah. It definitely shows like even with you being the oldest and from my perspective, it helps you just like how you were saying with struggles, you also have struggles and then you also have triumphs to where you go through accomplishments. The younger generation is then able to see your accomplishments and then it helps encourage us to know that we can also thrive through those accomplishments or those struggles and we can achieve that same goal. Um, from a different perspective, sometimes it does offer pressure from a standpoint of like success and how you want to view that. Different people have their goals and ambitions. So a lot of times they'll look at success differently. Whereas whenever you're coming out of the household and you're still living with your parents, oftentimes they'll view that as well. If the older sibling can do it, the younger sibling should be able to do it too. That's good in a sense that it does
That's also
offer.
debatable.
Exactly. It's very debatable because it depends on how you approach that. You can't necessarily compare, well, your older sibling's doing it, you should be able to do it too, because then that
Right.
offers so much pressure on the younger sibling. Whereas in the point or period of their life that they're at, they don't necessarily have all the tools or they haven't gone through all the battles and experiences to see and understand everything that you had to actually endure to get to that accomplishment level. So it's
And
still like,
and don't forget about their parents too. Don't forget like
exactly.
the period of time that their parents were in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of growing and
Also, think
maturing
about
to
on
do.
your job. How long does it take to promote,
That's right.
you
That's
know?
right. Typically, like
For
So
me, a
your
2 to 3
year.
parent was
years.
probably, oh, well, that's lovely. That's lovely.
See, there you go. There it is right there.
Hmm.
A year, me, 2 to 3 years.
Everybody ain't able. Yeah.
I got you.
Must be nice, nah.
And then how long did it take your parents to promote?
That's a
That's
good
right.
question. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Times are
That's good.
different. I got you.
That is good. But it does offer, you can see almost that double standard there to where it does offer some recognition, but it also offers some encouragement as well. Different viewpoints on that really looks at the perspective that you're looking at it from. But I think that's really good. And yeah, what a powerful episode. Did y'all have anything else to add? Or if not, we'll go ahead and cut it short here because that was a great topic to discuss. And I think it'll help out a lot of people as well.
Um, maybe like we can address a little bit of relationship wise with one another, like the age differences and stuff, like maybe how that affected us individually.
That's good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just
Uh,
tracking.
I'll go first on that because I feel like one of the biggest things that, from a younger perspective, you kind of look at it as, yes, you do have older role models and older siblings, but based on kind of that, it goes back to that experience factor. What do you really know? You never know what you know until you share it with someone. And so typically what I would do is my younger sibling, it's easier to kind of bounce things off of them because they're also still learning. Around that phase. So it seems like it's a lot easier to kind of associate with them, and then also they kind of get where I'm coming from because we're still kind of still trying to figure it out at the same time. Whereas whenever you typically take, anything like, with it depends on your relationship, of course, and who you seek counsel from, but you usually will take more wiser stuff or more serious matters to your older siblings. Like, hey, I need, some advice on this. I've seen experiences or I've seen situations where y'all were in the same boat. How did you get out of it? It also seems like that helps out with where you want to place your like relationships within that factor, because you'll talk with your older siblings about more serious matters, and then with your younger siblings you can also share feedback and kind of bounce ideas off of each other because you're still kind of in the learning phase as well. But that's kind of my take on it. I'm curious to see what you guys think as well.
Honestly, I mean, I agree with what you said. I really don't.
Nice.
I really don't know what to add other than what you for real. Other than what you said.
Yeah, yeah, it
One
seems
thing
like.
that you had shared was that like whenever you decide who you're gonna call,
Mhm.
right? You made a point to say in one of our previous episodes that you kind of rotate.
Right.
And I'm still very curious to dive into, like, is it like a topic? Is it just kind of like you're led to talk to that person? Do you hear an inner voice say, today I need to call so and so? Like,
Mhm.
how do you bounce between sibling wise, right?
Mhm.
Like, because you're in the middle, right? So how do
Mhm.
you bounce between the oldest, the next, or the next in line, the middle, and like the baby, and so on and so forth?
Because I want
It
to.
actually doesn't. I actually don't attribute it to birth order. I attribute it to personality because
Gotcha.
I know
I
what
like
I'm
that.
gonna get based off of each person.
I like
That's
that. Very
good.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very good.
So I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, I was just saying that's very good.
Oh,
Makes
okay.
sense.
Well, yeah. So I
Yeah,
guess
like
my take.
for example, like like if if uh if Bryson didn't feel like talking, he he wouldn't call me. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
Because
Valid.
we're gonna be on the phone for a while.
That's a
I
fact.
got you.
If he wants a quick 5 minute phone call, 5 minutes and under, he's calling Jacob.
Facts.
Straight point to the shot, straight shooter. You know?
Yeah, man of few, very, very few words.
Yeah, yeah. If you want to, let's see. I'm gonna stop right there.
If I want to
Okay.
get a lecture, I'll call BJ. If I want
Yeah,
to get spiritual guidance, I'll call Cedra.
yeah,
Um, and then of course overall wisdom, I'll call Pops. And
I
then of
love
course
that.
Mom.
yeah.
But
I
that's kind
love
of my
that.
chain of command. That's what I kind of follow. Yeah.
I think that's so that's super dope though. Like I love that.
Mhm.
Like in that little bit that y'all just explained about each person individually, like how they show up. I
Mhm.
think that's beautiful because, like, essentially that's stuff that we've learned about each other as adults, right? We didn't
That's
pick
true.
these things up as kids. So
Mhm.
I don't know. That's just that's dope. Like, thank you for breaking that down. Like both of y'all, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah,
That
it's
was
like
dope.
you have a Rolodex of personalities.
Yeah, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I
That
like that.
also is what sets us all apart, which will be covered on our next segment. I like that. Just to kind of cover what do you bring, what do you offer as an individual, what personalities really mesh well with each other, and kind of what butt heads, the most, I guess, in the personality.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
that would be interesting. We're not going to cover that right now because I was like, we could
Yeah, I can
easily go
already
into
get to roll into it.
that. So we're going to go ahead and cut this one. And we're going to end this episode, and then hopefully you guys will catch us on the next one.